Alright, so now that we have the analytics set up and your code is inserted on every single web page, what we can do is start taking a look at the data. Now, I will throw in a caveat that if you have a brand new site and you don't have any data, then a lot of this won't make sense. The more data you have, the more visitors you have, the bigger the sample set, and therefore you'll get a lot more relevant data. So for now, we're actually going to go into the report, and this is what the basic dashboard looks like. You're going to see some generic graphs. You'll see some data points that we'll talk about. And the key thing about this dashboard is that it's completely configurable. You can move the different elements around by dragging and dropping. You can, these are all starting points, by the way, where each one of these has an action behind it. So if I want to take a look at the site usage and I want to see visitors, I can click here. If I want to see the top content, as far as the number of page views and the percentage, I can come here, but then I can drill down into each one of these sections. If I was interested in seeing more map information, I can, again, this is a starting point, I can come here and click on the region that I want to take a look at. So that's one of the key things, is dashboards are configurable. You can move different elements around, and we'll go through on how you add different different views of data from deeper in the analytics to the dashboard. Another new feature that came out just a little while ago is the ability to do annotations. And annotations is a way for you to take a look at this graph, and while it's interesting, there used to not be a way for you to make comments on it. And so what you can do is, if you pick a date, you click on it and do create new annotation, what you can do is, actually let me do from the first date here, do create annotation. This is when I was testing a StumbleUpon traffic. So I will say test StumbleUpon campaign, and I will save it. You can make it shared or private. Because I'm the only one really who's managing this account, it can be shared, but you can also make it private just for myself. Choose save, and so now you can start to document different things that you're doing in the impact. I know that I was running a very targeted StumbleUpon campaign, so that kind of explains all of this traffic here, and we'll get into more detail on that. But it's just a good way for you to add notes on different days. Maybe you do it for documenting your link building activities. Maybe you do a press release, and just because traffic will have an impact. If you are doing offline and your business had a news announcement on the local news, and you might see a big spike of traffic that day and the next coming days, you might want to just annotate that again, just so you can keep good records. Now, another feature that this has is the ability to export the data, and there's a lot of different formats. We won't go into that. PDF and XML if you're going to use some of this data for other data processing. One of the popular features is to email the report, and what this does is it allows you to send this report that we just saw on the dashboard out to people or yourself. You can do it one time, which is what the send now does, where you can put in email addresses, multiple, for people who might want to receive it. So if you are an SEO person, you need to send it to a client, or if you're a manager and you need to send it to your boss, you can send the reports from here. Same as an email, you put in the subject and description. You choose the format, and you put in the word verification or the CAPTCHA and click send, and it'll send it out from your account. The other idea is to set up scheduled reports, and that's the same type of process where you put your recipients, your subject, your description, the format, but then you can decide when you want this sent out. So this is really good if you want to see monthly reports or weekly reports, quarterly reports. It's all up to you, but then once it's scheduled, it's automated. You don't have to worry about it again. So let's go back up to view the report. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's go back into the report. Now, what we're looking at is a snapshot of data. And again, this will, as you hover over each of these data points, it'll tell you the time, it'll tell you kind of the main metric. There's a couple of things that you can do that we'll talk about. The first is change what it is, the data element that you're showing on here. So by default, it talks about visits, but maybe the key metric that you want to look at is page views, or bounce rate, or percentage of new visits. You can choose whichever variable that you want. You can also compare multiple variables. So you'll notice it's a bit jumpier as I'm doing page views. There's quite a bit more page views and it's not as static. So it's an interesting thing to play around with. It depends on what you want to look at. So once you have that, and we'll kind of leave it with page views. The other thing to notice is this is a snapshot in time. This is between March 6th and the day I'm recording this, which is April 5th, right? This is about a month's worth of data. Now you can come in here and say, I want to see, let's just see the previous week's data. So I'm going to do from Monday to Monday, and then all of the data that you see within all of analytics is now tailored just to that time frame. So same thing, let's say we want to do the last couple of months or year to date. So we'd come back here, our date range starting, we would say January 1st and all the way to, let's say, to today, which is more or less the first quarter. Choose apply, and now you'll see data across all of that element. So you'll see the number of visits change, you'll see bounce rates and everything. The other interesting thing to do is to do comparisons. Now the way that works is you choose one time frame and it'll actually compare the previous time frame to that time frame. So we'll give an example. Let's do a month to month comparison. So I'm going to choose for the initial date range March 1st. We're going to do a month comparison. The entire month of March, and I'm going to compare it to the past, and it automatically by default says, okay, well, we're going to do the same roughly 31 days compared to the past. So when you choose apply, you're now going to see two date elements. You're going to see the blue line, which is our current month of March, or last month of March, compared to the February, which is the green line. Now this is a great example of this big spike which I ran in a month, which is an anomaly, but it'll show you the different things. I have very steady traffic, so you don't see big differences here. But this is a way to compare, day over day. Usually it's better to do week or month or quarter over quarter, and you can kind of see different trends that are happening. So those are the key things to take a look at. On the dashboard, you can set up reports. You can customize it to be whatever you want. You can set the time frames, and then you can save it so that next time you log in, you'll be able to see all that data as well.